So, today we're going to be talking about imperfections. And I like this topic because I'm totally an imperfect person, like all over. I have imperfections all over. I'm imperfect and I'm proud of it. And I used to not be. So, I used to very much hide my imperfections and try to show up perfectly all the time. And yeah, we're going to dive into today. But first things first, if you're new here, hey, welcome. I'm glad you're here. And I'm Keisha Ellingson. I help people who have moved adjust to all that comes with life after the move, because sometimes our vision of what it's going to look like when we move versus the reality of what it is different. And so I help you bridge that gap, right? And to step into where you're thriving after a move instead of struggling. All right. So one part of the move is making friendships. And I used to go about making my friendships, and I'd try to show up as perfectly as I possibly could to fit in, right? Because I figured if I got it all together, then people are going to like me, right? And I found that trying to show up perfectly, first of all, it doesn't work. And I feel like people can sense it. They can sense that you're holding something back, or they can sense that you're not really who you say you are, but kind of like a wolves in sheep clothing. Not that you're trying to be mean or anything like that, but like just that you're not being authentic, right? Okay, so 3 things or ways that you can reasons to embrace being imperfect, and it will help you out in your life. Is you stop carrying this weight of needing to be perfect around. And it is a weight. Like, it's stressful needing to be perfect and needing your kids to behave the perfect way for you to feel validation. And it also impacts the relationships that you have, like your close relationships. Like, I remember Ethan and I would be at each other in like a fight, but some of that time was because I was trying to show up perfectly. Like, don't invite anybody over if our house isn't perfect, or don't talk about us, like me getting pregnant at 19 before we were married. Don't talk about that. Like, there was things where I was trying to control and I was trying to have this perfect image. It's stressful and you don't need it, right? So the first thing is, it releases a huge weight when you're like, okay, I'm just going to show up as me. I'm imperfect, but I'm me, right? The second thing, when you embrace being imperfect, it will change the way you talk to yourself. Now, oftentimes, people can be downright mean to themselves. And if you're moving and you don't have a friend group established, guess what? You're pretty much the only person you're hanging out with. And that person in your thought life can be a bully. So when you release this pressure and the thoughts of like being perfect and trying to like show up, then you give yourself freedom to accept yourself as, you know what, I'm not perfect, but I'm learning every day. Okay. So sometimes our thoughts are like imperfect thoughts, like, oh my gosh, I'm so stupid, or I embarrassed myself again. Oh, I'm not a good mom. I'm not a good wife. I'm not a good cook. I can't clean my house clean. I'm not enough. Does any of that sound familiar? Thoughts are very, very important. And remember, you can always choose a second thought. You don't have to think what comes into your mind, first of all. Okay. So, but we can then transition when we're like, you know what? I'm imperfect. I'm accepting that. I'm not going to try to show up perfectly. Then it transitions our thoughts to grace and compassion. Like instead of like, oh my gosh, I'm so stupid. Like, I've learned a few things not to do today. I've learned a few things not to do. Or if you embarrass yourself, you're trying to like put yourself out there, make a connection, and it doesn't go right, like that, you could transition your thoughts to, that was a good try at connecting. Like, I made a good try, didn't work, but that's okay, right? I'm not perfect. Okay. I am learning about parenting every day. Or the thought that God is not enough, or the thought that you are not enough. God is enough for me, right? He has got me. I'm going to lean in Him today. you're right. Or my thoughts. I am not enough, but God is. Okay. Do you see how those two things are totally different? Like one is, I feel like it's a downward pressure. Like you embarrass yourself. You're so dumb. Like can't keep up. You're not enough. Like blah blah blah. And this one is like, okay, yep, same situation, but like this is okay. I'm learning. I'm growing. God is enough, even when I'm not. Um, it's a lighter feeling. Okay, it's definitely lighter. And then a third way that it helps is when you embrace your imperfections. Imperfections are the place that you shine from. I don't know anybody who said like, "Oh my gosh, their life is so perfect." That's inspiring. Nope, it doesn't happen. Um, it's usually the people who are down and out, who have had a hard time, and then they get up and go again. Right? That's inspiring. That's and So if you have the thought like, okay, I'm nowhere near perfect, great, because that's exactly where God can use you. Okay, and you can relate to a lot of different people who have those same struggles. So I like to look at it as like a vase, and I've told this before, so bear with me if you heard it once before, but it's my favorite way to look at about brokenness. I view myself as a big vase, like a vase you put flowers in, but my brokenness is there's cracks all along the vase going up, and inside is God, right? And I, even though I have my brokenness, that's where the light from inside the vase shines out of, right? Because God can do things with people who are willing to show up even if they're broken, right? And that's where God usually asks people to show up, is the places that they can't do it, because God can, right? God can do all these things. So like Gideon in the Bible, Gideon was hiding in a cave, and God called him a mighty warrior before he was ever a warrior, right? Kind of like us. Like there's things that we're scared, we're imperfect, but God can call things out of us too. So if you have, imperfections and you've moved and you want to talk about like real questions, ask, talk to real people, and honest and imperfect but happy people, Homesick to Happy Movers is a place for you to ask those questions. It's in the description of this video. And if you're not interested, that's totally cool too. Basically, the moral of the story is you don't need to be perfect. Sometimes this world gives off the illusion that we need to show up perfectly, or we need to have our looks together to have impact, right? Or we need to look a certain way to have a certain amount of money. Like there's all these different things that come around showing up perfectly, but I feel like we step into our strength when we show up imperfectly. Little thing to think on for a while. So yeah, I hope you guys have a great day. I am definitely having a good day. I woke up at 5 today. Jada wants to work out, so we started a new workout routine together, which is fun. And yeah, I look forward to chatting with you guys soon.